Welcome back, everybody, to our The Challenge podcast. We have a full house today. How's everybody feeling about this latest episode? I thought it was the best one yet, personally.
Yeah, same. I am loving this season. And I think it's because it's just I probably have said this on this podcast before, but it's just so nostalgic. And I love that we are like 5 episodes in and we've already had 2 hookups, 2 fights,
I know.
Twitter, like some really good challenges, and yeah, I'm really liking it. It's like old school challenge again. The music is on point. It's all 90s. I'm loving it.
Dude, the intro into the episode, Alanis Morissette, Uninvited, just had me rolling because I'm like, if Nick had music rights, that is exactly what he would do on his shows, just
100%.
trolling the hell out of the players.
Yeah, for sure.
Superb episode. I just second everything they said.
You know, Fan Guy, we talk about nostalgia a lot on the wrestling podcast. Do you think it is nostalgia that is making the season better, or is it just a good season?
I think it's a both. I think it's both. I think it actually is a good season, especially when he just kind of all kicked them in the nuts this week and was just like out of nowhere. That alone makes it an amazing season for me so far, just that they did something like that. So I think it's both, but I think it's cool to see all the OGs. Even the ones I didn't really remember or know.
Yeah, same.
They're all okay, man. This is a pretty good season.
It's everything that we all complained about missing when we were watching the last or the Double Agents season. Was we're like, where's all the hookups? Where's everybody drinking? Where's all the drama? Like, besides Josh and Devin drama.
Yeah, well, let's start, I guess. Actually, first, did any of you watch the Double Agents reunion? I didn't, so I was gonna go to you guys. If
Yeah.
you did.
I love it and hate it. I mostly love it because the entire reunion and like the last 2 episodes of the season are just shitting on Fessy so hard. And a lot of the fan base is like, stop making this about Fessy. But I enjoyed just watching them just give him so much shit because he can't own anything.
He's such a tool that it's just nice to see just constant attacking pretty much everywhere. So the reunion was great.
Such a tool that he took a shot at Gabby's boyfriend in the middle of the reunion, like calling him half a man.
Like, I didn't say that. Everybody's just said it 2 seconds ago.
Dude, I legit teared up a bit during the reunion though, because to see how much like Leroy and Cam really are together, and like Leroy's one of his best friends, Nani, just bawled throughout that entire speech, and I was like, this is so cute. I really enjoyed that part.
No, what Meg just said, I mean, I'm rolling because all I could see is the old Chappelle Show Rick James sketch where he's like, why would a grown man grind his feet into somebody else's couch? Yeah, I remember grinding my feet in Eddie's couch, like right back to back. Like Fessy's just like, I didn't say that. Like, no, bro, you literally
just said
that.
That's what started the conversation. She was talking about her boyfriend. Somebody was like, oh, she's got a whole man now. And he was like, a half a man, because I guess he's short, maybe.
No.
And somebody else was like, what makes him half, or Bessie, why did you say he's half a man? He's like, I didn't say that. Literally, like, same sentence, same conversation, didn't miss a beat. People were like, what?
Another thing that entirely makes this reunion for me is that Vernon Davis is the host of the reunion, and knowing like he's a Hall of Famer tight end and he's grilling Fessy at the same time. Like I'm waiting for Fessy to say I can beat anybody, and Vernon Davis is like, let's go. Like, let's do this.
Even CT didn't back down from Fessy, he's making future seasons hard on himself. We'll just say that.
Yeah, that fight's coming in the part 2 of the reunion, hopefully.
Casey also said she did have to have knee surgery, so her injury was pretty severe.
Yeah, she tore her patella tendon. So at first I thought it was like an ACL or MCL tear, but she legit tore the tendon off of her leg. Like, that's brutal. There's no way she would have been able to continue that final.
Right. And like, I do kind of want to backtrack, and I don't want to like give any credit to Fessy, but I feel like if I was in that situation with Casey too, like, yeah, why am I going to stand there and eat all of this nasty shit and drink this big mug of blood and vomit everywhere just for TJ, just to be not able to finish? There's no way she could have done the rest of that final. And he knew that. So like, I understand it. I don't give him anything for that, but I can understand why he didn't do that at the time.
I think had it been anyone but Fessy to do that, it wouldn't be as bad. But just because of his whole bravado and the way he held himself, for someone like that to bitch out like that is not cool. I could see if most of the well-liked players, if they just been like, they can't finish, like they can't, and you probably would give them more of a pass than Fessy. So I understand.
And I feel like they would have been more supportive of Casey. Like, don't do this to yourself. You're already hurt. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. You need to go get taken care of. And he just really wasn't supportive of her at all, which made it even worse.
Even just tell Casey, you don't have to eat this. Like, they're not going to let you finish. Even just taking that approach on a human level.
Yeah.
Instead of, she just tore a major ligament and you're having her eat goat nuts. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. And maybe he did say something like that, but they didn't show it. So I'm going to assume that he didn't.
Yeah. After watching him like blame everything on everybody else that he couldn't win this challenge, I'm over it. Get rid of him. But of course they're going to bring him back. I don't know what type of character he's going to be. Like, at this point, he just needs to lean into the villain role, because that's what he's becoming.
One thing that stood out for me from the reunion too was the part with Ashley, and who was she talking to? Nelson. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I guess he had Twitter blasted her about like how he couldn't trust her, and that's why he voted for her to go, or whatever it was. And she made a good point. She's never stabbed anybody in the back except for Hunter, and she had good reason to do that. But she's always been a loyal player to those she's playing with. She's just seen as so strong, and people want that excuse. I think they're just so scared of her, even though she's capable of doing that stuff, but she never really has. So it was good to see her. She was like typical Ashley, very like dramatic about it, but it was good to see her get a little bit emotional about standing up for herself in front of everybody. When Aneesa did that in the house too, right when they were doing the vote, she was like, I'm the one that paved the way for you all to be here, so stop fucking me over and like treating me like I'm nothing. I appreciate those moments, those like real moments.
Well, any final thoughts on the reading? Oh, sorry.
Ashley gets trashed on so much that I'll second that, because she really does get trashed on quite a bit for people. She earned a lot of it. I mean, nobody's saying she didn't earn a lot of it, because she has.
Well, she's definitely a loyal player. Like, I'll give her that. But the mere fact that she creates so much drama and just goes 200% when only 100% is needed, it rubs people the wrong way. But again, it's to that point where you just have to lean into it, kind of like Wes and Bananas did, and just own the character that you've kind of created on the show and roll with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to move on to All Star, because I didn't watch that mess reunion, because I have too many episodes in that goddamn season.
It's still not done.
I know, God. Well, before the daily on this All Stars episode, the main points we got were the Cyrus and Beth connection, and then that Alton still got it.
Yeah, he does.
That would set the stage for later. But any thoughts on these three players?
I like the way they're foreshadowing the episode prior to the episode. I initially thought that Alton and Jaleesa were going to get into an argument. That is obviously not what happened.
Are they not married? Is she not married?
I guess not.
I would assume not.
I would hope not.
I would hope not.
I would just assume that they're not.
I know, Days, you talk about Nehemiah and Jemmye. But theirs doesn't seem that real to me because when we saw them, they were just laying in bed.
Like, look,
But Alton and Elisa, they actually were undercovers.
I love me some Jaleesa. Like, she is fine. She's got it all. You know what I mean? And I don't blame Alton for going after that. I don't blame her for going after Alton because he's beautiful
That
too.
you are not. Is there a type that you are not attracted to?
Yeah, I like
Spectrum here.
I like beautiful people, men, women. It's all fair. I mean,
Touche.
Well, the daily this time was kind of a mini final, and I'm wondering since last week you talked about how this is only like 9 episodes or something. If this is how they're going to do the final, something similar to this. Do you think that might be true?
well,
At the final, if there's only 4 more episodes till the final, there's going to be a lot of people left.
I mean,
They're
I
gonna have to,
understand
like,
now.
lose people at stages during the final and
Yeah.
end up with like 4.
I mean, we're losing 2 people each episode now, at least. So that makes a bit more sense.
Well,
That's-
how many are left?
I was actually thinking it was going to be. So,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
That's a
10,
lot.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 16.
Yeah, 16.
So in 4 episodes, there's only 8 left. That's
Okay.
pretty much a final.
Well, I guess there would be 10 left in the last episode, I think.
So you think the final kind of starts out as a pairs or a group and whittles its way down to a single? I can see that.
I mean, I like this daily, so I wouldn't mind that in the final.
Yeah, but how would they, if they started the same way this one started, right? With like a group of 4 or whatever it was, how, when they get to the next checkpoint, do they decide which one of them doesn't continue?
I guess
You
it would
know?
depend on what the checkpoint is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an eating challenge. Well, here's the teams at how this started. Copper was Big Easy, Katie, Ruthie, Darrell, Anissa, Mark. Gold was Kendall, Derek, Jaleesa, LT, Kellyanne, Nehemiah. Silver was Cyrus, Yes, Jemmy, Jenna, Beth, Alton. And Cyrus, the big story for Cyrus was his bum ankle, but he did well on this challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect from him, to go 100% every time he competes. I'm really wondering what was up with Alton. Like, I almost do think that Cyrus is correct. Like, he was trying to bring Cyrus down so that Cyrus would go into the elimination.
I don't think so at that point, because it was still like an individual. It ended up being an individual, like I don't.
I think you're just gassing out. I guess he still doesn't have. Is he ready for a final?
How does he gas out compared to some other players? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
This was not promising for him for the standpoint of a final at all. I mean, I think he's going to be a beast in elimination challenges, but this does not bode well from like my thoughts for him in the final.
It was him and Elisa who were gassing out of everybody. So maybe the 2 of them were up late the night before.
Yeah.
Overly exerting themselves.
Maybe. Might
Everybody
be
else
onto
got a
something.
good night's rest.
It's a fair point. It was a tough challenge though. Like, it was not easy, especially that second checkpoint. That puzzle was insane. Like, I would have said, screw it, just throw me into the elimination, because there's no way I would have been able to do that.
Laterian really grew on me in this episode, not just because he had a good performance, but also he was cracking me up in confessionals, just cussing people out.
I think he's the one that said something that made me laugh. I can't remember what it was.
He was making me laugh too.
Yeah, him and Darrell are getting really good edits as far as the confessionals go. Like, I could definitely see those 2 be running in the final based on their edit so far.
And Laterian's doing well.
I think that's a safe bet that those 2. I actually would see. I don't know. We'll get to this. I think I agree with you. Their edit definitely makes it seem that way. I from a physical standpoint, it should be that way. But if you're the strongest players, you're probably gonna get pulled into a lot of eliminations.
LT's the last person I'd want to go against in an elimination at this point. That dude, he's surprising me on a physical level. Like, yes, he's a big man, but I think he's a lot more, like, he works out a lot more than I gave him credit for, maybe. Like, I could see his endurance being pretty top notch.
Yeah, he's definitely in it to win it right now.
Contender. He's definitely a contender.
Let's see, they later split up into these duos. Copper was the first one to finish. It was Mark and Ruthie. Then it was Big Easy and Katie, who finished second to last. Then it was Darrell and Anissa. On gold, it was Derek and Kellyanne, Alti and Kendall, who both ended up winning. And then Nehemiah and Gisela. And then silver was Jemmy and Yes, Cyrus and Beth, Alton and Janae. Any other thoughts on the daily?
I mean, even teams for the most part, I think.
I thought that Jemmy and Beth and Cyrus and Nehemiah would do a lot better, considering they all have really good relationships with each other. I figured they would work together really well.
They just got so behind, thanks to Alton and Jaleesa.
Yeah.
I mean, but were they really that far behind? Like, okay, Beth and Cyrus timed out. I don't know how long that is, but I'm assuming their timeout was longer than what Alton cost them with his little rests.
Yeah, probably.
So I just thought it was humorous that Cyrus is sitting there blaming Alton, whatever. Like, bro, you couldn't even finish the puzzle. They probably gave you like an hour and you couldn't do it. It wasn't his. I mean, it was his fault, but it wasn't his fault.
Well, it was Cyrus that was last. So on one hand, I'm like, it's old school. Cyrus wants to take on Alton. But on the other hand, why doesn't he just want to take on Big Easy?
He would have had a shot against Big Easy in this.
Yes, he would have.
I mean, I guess I get it. I kind of see images of Mike, fan guy. I'm sorry to bring up Mike, but he's so confident in his abilities to win as an underdog that he just wants to go against, his rival or he wants to be the top dog. So I guess I get it. It just, that is not who you want to go against in an elimination.
Especially when you know you're already injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a certain hubris to the play for sure. Where, I mean, I get it. Yeah, I get it. You want to, you're trying to have a pissing contest, whipping it out, seeing who's bigger. But in a game like this, that's such a marathon and not a sprint.
I mean, if it's a pole wrestle, he would have had a shot.
Do it that early.
He wanted to be eliminated so that he wouldn't have to quit or be medically pulled. He wanted to go out really trying, but knew he couldn't beat Alton.
I mean, in the back of my mind, I think that maybe they thought the elimination was going to be redone, which it kind of was. But if this is the same elimination that Beth and Arissa would have done,
it looked like it.
Cyrus has a fair shot, because what they were going to do was just punch through the walls, and there was no climbing involved. So if that's what he had in his head, it's going to get redone, he definitely had a shot against Cyrus or against Alton to win that elimination. But once we see that climbing is involved, also, not even the fact that you have Beth on your team, that just kind of goes out the window.
I was cracking up because I feel like they just had the prop sitting around from last week, right? It didn't get used, and the set designer's like, we spent 16 hours working on this thing. We're fucking using it.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, okay, how can we make this into a team thing? And I would not be surprised if that challenge was thrown together the day before the challenge, just because they had we're using this.
Absolutely.
I am glad though that they had a twist. I'm like, we've been waiting for on Double Agents, it never came. So,
TJ finally came through.
Yeah, in a different season.
And it wasn't just going to a double elimination, it's the way it plays out. It changes the entire dynamics of the game in a really sort of wicked way.
Yeah.
Because you figure the bottom two or the worst two daily competitors are going to be on a team each time. And then you would think whoever's getting voted in is probably going to pick the best player that they think's going to give them the best shot at winning every time. So you're actually going to see the strongest players in pretty much every elimination rather than no eliminations. So I think it almost forces that to happen in a way, which I love, because normally everyone's scared to take on the big dogs, so they just don't even want to throw them in there.
How do you even go about that though? Like if I'm down there, I get voted in, I'm like, sorry, I've got to take the best player and risk your game that you might be going home, but I need you to help me out.
Yeah.
That's
Anissa took
messed
it in
up.
stride. Anissa took that really well though.
Yeah, she was
And it was a really good choice for him.
She took it the way it was intended, as a genuine compliment. He's like, who do I have the best shot with? In his mind, it was Anissa. Anissa, come on down. And she took it on the chin, exactly in the spirit with which it was given. She was like, oh, that's kind of emotional that he really, that's just the name of the game this season. If somebody looks at you and thinks you're the best person to help them win, you're probably going down.
TJ keeps saying something like, oh, your past relationships are going to come back to bite you and haunt you. Do you think he's talking like about this, like having to choose these extra players to go in, or do you think another twist is coming?
It could be either or. And it's not just TJ saying that, like that first checkpoint saying your past never dies or whatever. Definitely something could be on the horizon for sure.
What if your best friend is the person you think is the best at the challenge? Then you're like basically saying, okay, come risk your game alongside mine. And that just sucks.
Yeah.
It's a rough dynamic to add to the game for sure. Before the elimination though, I want to point out Nehemiah and Derek getting political with their votes, burning those votes. That was interesting to see.
I hate burn votes. Burn votes are a huge waste.
Are they?
I hate burn votes.
Well, any other thoughts on this double elimination challenge? Anissa getting her 11th elimination win, getting to 500.
I mean, I guess that's her game. She doesn't really need to win if you got prize money for win elimination, she'd, be rolling in dough right now. Unfortunately, that's not how the challenge plays out.
I think she's one of the stronger competitors on the female side in challenges, pretty much most of them. There's only going to be a handful that aren't really suited to her. And the fact that they get to look at the board, the game before deciding who they want, that's a big difference because the best person is going to vary from week to week.
Yeah, I could actually put her, like, you got Kendall and Kellyanne, who are kind of the top runners to win the show, maybe. But I'd put Anissa up there with them.
What has Kellyanne done this season that makes her like the best that she keeps talking about, though? She's like, oh, me and Kendall. And I'm like, Kendall.
I mean, she probably just has endurance, but she doesn't have it better than Kendall.
I see shades of Teresa. Like, she reminds me of Teresa from Double Agent season, where you can tell. I mean, she's probably in great shape. She can probably run. So I think she's one of my favorites for the final on the girls' side because of that. You just got to favor endurance. That's all we've ever seen. Is you got to favor endurance in the final.
You think she's gonna make get a little too deep politically and backstab somebody, and that causes a fight, and that's how she gets out?
I think she's safe unless she loses a daily, because I don't think she's perceived as the strongest. So I don't think anyone's ever going to be pulling her. They're going to be pulling other people to help them in eliminations. So I could see her just skating right by and avoiding the elimination block for maybe all season.
I mean, yeah, she
to be looked at as the strongest.
I mean, at this point, as long as she flies under Kendall, let Kendall continue to be that, bullseye for everybody else, then.
And if it's physical, they're going to take Anissa.
Who are we talking about?
Kellyanne.
Oh, no, I take back what I said.
That's what I mean. She could just fly under the radar because nobody's going to really perceive her as that strong of a threat, even if her endurance is at the top of the pack.
Unless they want to try and take out Kendall and they put her against her.
Yeah. Kendall's surprising me, man. She's a little beast. Like Jimmy said, she is the original Barbie beast instead of Jenna.
Mhm.
Well, it was the end of Cyrus and Beth. The old timers are gone.
I mean, look at the type of challenges they're doing. We knew that those that weren't in semi good shape weren't going to last that long, and that's pretty much how it's playing out. So I'm not really surprised with it.
Yeah, I saw it coming.
I mean, I thought Cyrus was actually in pretty good shape,
That's
but
first age.
I'm not. Yeah, for his age, that's what I mean. These were two of the oldest competitors, dude. Maybe the two oldest competitors.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in
this-
the cards for them.
He
If
hurt
this
his
is-
ankle walking out of the house.
Some people are clumsy. I can relate.
Yeah, I mean, I probably do something like that as well, but which is why I'm not on something like the challenge.
I mean, if this is a pole wrestle, it's a completely different game. Like Cyrus might actually beat Alton in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably actually does beat him.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he could hold his weight in elimination challenge. It just so happens that this one involved a lot of him jumping down on part of his body that's injured.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
he
would.
did a good effort.
I can't do that shit. Like I have flat feet, so jumping off of high points, like I immediately blow the blood vessels out of the bottom of my feet, so I can't imagine trying to do that on a bum ankle.
And let's be real, the first 5 minutes of this episode were dedicated to showing Alton free climbing
Yeah.
on a freaking side of a wall.
I didn't even
Like,
think
and then
about
the main event is a jumping and climbing challenge. Like,
that.
sorry, Cyrus and Beth, y'all are in trouble here.
That was my one complaint. When he chose Anissa, I knew they were going to win because I mean, it's like Anissa didn't have an edit in this episode. She wasn't going to go.
Yeah. It's Alton, big winner this episode in so many different ways.
Well, any final thoughts or predictions?
I'm loving it.
Me too.
Predictions are hard. There's just so many people, and there's not a whole lot of episodes left. So to make a solid prediction on what's coming is really
I'm gonna say Big Easy will find himself in an elimination in the very near future.
and
Mhm.
Katie, I would think too.
Uh,
I could
I'm
I
thinking
could see
Sonic-
Big Easy picking Katie as a partner.
Oh, you're right.
But Katie's good in eliminations.
Yeah.
But if you have to have a partner now, I mean, I don't know if Big Easy is necessarily the one you want to be tied to.
No. I was picturing him in this challenge, and I do think Cyrus wins, even with the bum
Oh, yeah.
ankle.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, these challenges aren't going to favor him because in team challenges, there's like how they're going to do team hall brawl, which is one of the few things that like he's a big dude. Maybe he can, win a hall brawl. Pole wrestle. He might be able to win a pole wrestle against one of the smaller guys. But how are you going to do that in a team format? So most of these challenges are going to be team structured. And
Maybe, or it could be girl, guy, guy.
Yeah, it could.
that would be a little different and be helpful to him. Because if they are all team challenges, these are usually coordination, agility, and
Yeah.
speed challenges, which are not going to favor the
Yeah, if it's separated, like if Big Easy goes down there, he gets to pick his partner and it's hall brawl. I mean, you're picking Anissa.
Yeah.
You're definitely not picking Katie in that instance.
I could see her doing okay in a hall brawl, depending on who she's going against. She's tiny, and she's really mean.
I mean, we saw little mean Amber and how she did in the hall brawl.
Well, that
She's
was terrible.
mean. She doesn't have enough heart or experience. Katie does.
Show me your mean face, Big T. Show me your mean face.
Oh man.
Well, that does it for the challenge this week. I want to thank all of you for joining me. 4 episodes left, apparently. Should be an interesting 4 episodes.
I'm down for
See
it.
everybody next week.
Bye.